Alright, so the last few days we have been spending our time adding and subtracting fractions, which is a lot more time consuming than multiplying fractions. So what's nice about multiplying fractions is you do not need the same denominators. You do not need the same denominators. So that is what often takes us a lot of time when we're adding and subtracting fractions, is finding that common denominator, making equivalent fractions, and we have to do all that before we ever add or subtract. Once we get to adding and subtracting, it doesn't take very long. Now, I've seen people before find common denominators because they forgot when they were multiplying, and they end up with the same answer. But what happens, and you can, all right, but what happens is you get very large numbers, and then it takes a long time to simplify it. So you're not going to get it wrong if you find common denominators, but there would be a lot of work involved. So we're going to start off with a fraction times a fraction. And the first problem that I would like to do is 3/4 times 1/3. Can anyone tell me what they remember about multiplying fractions, about how to do these problems? We do not need to have the same denominator, so we're not going to find the common denominator. Alright, so we need to first multiply the top. Then we're going to multiply the bottom. And then if we can, always, we want to see if we can simplify. Okay, there are your 3 steps. We're going to multiply straight across the top. We're going to multiply straight across the bottom. And then, if we can, we are going to simplify. Alright, so I kind of used some highlighting to match up those steps. So first, I'm going to do 3 times 1, which is 3. And then I'm going to do 4 times 3, which is 12. And technically, there's your answer. Okay, I know we haven't simplified yet, or tried to simplify, but 3/12 is our answer, so that's all there is to it. Now we need to think about, can we simplify 3/12? Is there a number we can divide 3 and 12 by? What? 3. Good. So that would be the GCF that we're dividing by right there to help us simplify. And 3 divided by 3 is 1. 12 divided by 3 is 4. And there's our final answer then. Alright, let's try another one then. Let's do 2/5, 2/5, times 4/7. Sorry. 4/7. I'm going to let you try that one on your own real quick. 2/5 times 4/7. Alright, so you should have first multiplied 2 times 4, and 2 times 4 is 8. And then you should have multiplied 5 times 7. 5 times 7 is 35. And then you ask yourself, can I simplify? Is there anything I can divide 8 by that I could also divide 35 by? Nope. So we're finished. Easy, right? Let's do one more of you doing it on your own, and then we'll move on to our next section. How about you try 5/8 times 2/3. 5/8 times 2/3. Alright, so first step, 5 times 2 is 10. Second step, 8 times 3 is 24. Can you simplify? Yes. What can you divide 10 and 24 by? 2. So you're doing 10 divided by 2 and 24 divided by 2, and your final answer is 5/12. Very good. So if you got 10 over 24, you were just one little step away. You were close. All right, in this next section, we're going to take a whole number times a fraction. Okay? Whole number times a fraction. For instance, the problem 5 times 1/3. So in order to multiply a whole number times a fraction, we need to turn the whole number into a fraction. So let's review how to do that. How do you turn a whole number like 5 into a fraction? And I have a feeling people are either going to tell me 5/5, or they're going to tell me 5/1. Those are two different things. There's one of those that's right, and there's one of those that's wrong. That's right. So, turn whole number into a fraction by putting it over 1. Turn whole number into a fraction by putting it over 1. The most common mistake is that people put it over itself. If 5/5 equals 1, okay? So that is not right. We need to rewrite it as 5/1. So no matter what the whole number is, it could be 1 billion. To write 1 billion as a fraction, you would put it 1 billion over 1, okay? Always goes over 1. So I'm going to rewrite my problem as 5/1 times 1/3. Once you have that, then it's just like the problems we were doing, correct? Like those last 3 problems we did, fraction times fraction. So you multiply the top, and then you multiply the bottom, and you get your answer. So what is my answer? 5/3, good. What's wrong with 5/3? It's improper. So we need to write as a mixed number. Now, we reviewed how to do that last week, but let's review that again. How do you write 5/3? How do you turn that into a mixed number? Don't just tell me what it is, but how do you do it, Julian? Julian. Divide 5 by 3. Most of you do this in your head, right? You say, how many times does 3 go into 5? 1 time. And how many would be left over? 2. So it would be 1 and 2/3. Okay? 1 and 2/3. Okay, let's try another one where you have to do a whole number times a fraction. Let's do 6 times 2/3. Why don't you please try that one on your own? Alright, so hopefully you rewrote your 6 as 6/1 times 2/3. And then when you multiply straight across, you get 12. And on the bottom, multiply straight across, you get 3. It's improper. So you say, how many times does 3 go into 12? And it's 4 whole times. So that's it. You don't have a fraction. 4. That's it. All right, let's do the last type of problem, which is going to be a whole number times a mixed number. For instance, if you had 4 times 2.5. Go ahead and write that down and we'll talk about how you solve it. All right, any thoughts on what you might want to do? Luke? Turn your mixed number into an improper fraction. Very good. So what, are we going to leave our 4? All right, so we're going to write this as 4 over 1, just like we did on the last problems. And we're going to change our mixed number into an improper fraction. Change to improper fraction. And we reviewed how to do that last week also, but let's do it again. 2.5, how do you change that into an improper fraction? What are your steps, Madison? 2 times 2 plus 1, and you get over. Very good. So to review one more time for those people that were talking while she was talking, to turn 2.5 into an improper fraction, you do the denominator times your whole number, and you get 4, and then you add on your numerator. So 4 plus 1 is 5. Your denominator stays the same. So we have 5 over 2. Now you multiply straight across just like we did on all the other problems. So when you multiply straight across, you get what over what? 20 over 2. And 20 over 2 equals 10. 2 goes into 20 10 times. Very good. I'd like for you to try one of these on your own, and then I'm going to give you your assignment. Please do 6 times 3 2/5. Please try that one on your own. 6 times 3 2/5. So what do you do with this 6? All right, good. 6 over 1. So look at your paper. Did you do 6 over 1? Next, 3 2/5 needs to be an improper fraction. So who can help me with doing this? Luke? Very good. So look on your paper. Did you turn 3 2/5 into 17 over 5? Okay. Now, when I see this, I'm like, ooh, 6 times 17, I don't know. I know 1 times 5 is 5. So what are you going to do if you don't know? You have to come over here on another part of your paper and do 17 times 6. Wouldn't it make more sense to do 17 times 6 than 6 times 17? And you can change the order. That's commutative property. So 6 times 7 is 42. 102. And then you might be thinking, ooh, I don't want to turn that into a mixed number. Sorry. 102. Maybe you don't want to do it in your head. We're just going to leave that there. Here we go. We'll do it over here. 5 goes into 10 2 times. Bring down your 2. Will 5 go into 2? No. So you say 0 times. Your last step has to be subtracting. So you have 2 left over. So 20 remainder 2, which we would write as 20 2/5. 5 times 20 is 100. Plus 2 would be 102. All right, I'm going to give you your assignment now. And if you're still having trouble, then you can come and ask me for help or get help from each other.